Hey guys, it's Riley back for another video. I know it's been a super long time since I made a video, just me, about INTPs, but I figured I'd do a new series on INTP cognitive functions and what kind of behavior and attitudes that each of the cognitive functions relate to, and how we can kind of pull ourselves towards the positive side of the behavior that particular cognitive function brings out. Um, I've also think I'm going to make a series about how INTPs can get along with X personality type. Just because I think I have a lot of experience actually with getting along with people. I think that I honestly am above average in terms of INTPs, um, like in terms of getting along with people. I think that I'm better at that. And a lot of that has to do with I was kind of forced out of my ego or my normal operating behavior a lot during high school due to some weird circumstances. So yeah, I ended up putting myself out there a lot more, and thus don't have like as much social anxiety as a lot of INTPs, I think. So, anyways, I'm getting pretty off track here. I'm still gonna make interview videos when I can. I have a couple of people who want to. It's just a question of getting them educated enough to be able to like handle an interview video. Um, I do kind of have high standards for the level of interest someone has to show to get on an interview, so that's kind of why I haven't done the ESFP video. I have an ISTJ actually and an ESTP. Uh, yeah, all of those types of people who are willing to do an interview, maybe a couple more, but yeah, I yeah. Well, I'm sure some of them will end up happening. It's just a question of are they ready? Anyways, with that, so we're going to start with obviously INTP's first cognitive function, which is TI or introverted thinking. The negative behavioral pattern associated with this is actually going to be arrogance, and the positive would be helpfulness. Um, a lot of times people don't really think of INTPs don't really come off as super arrogant. I think that's just because of how introverted they are and because of their extroverted feeling inferior. So they're, they don't like to upset people, and obviously arrogance can upset people. So a lot of times the INTP with people, especially that they're not as comfortable with, don't come off that arrogant. Um, with people that do know them better, actually, those people, especially if they're like FJs, like INFJs or ENFJs, those people that know them better will be like, yeah, INTPs are arrogant because they've heard INTPs. They've heard their TE nemesis enough to know, or sorry, their, yeah, TE nemesis enough to know that INTPs can be pretty arrogant with their introverted thinking function. So actually, um, this leads to like obviously it's not good to be arrogant for multiple reasons, having to do with um, basically you're not going to um, make proper decisions if you're arrogant. You're going to rub people the wrong way. But actually, a big problem for INTPs being arrogant with their TI hero is that they're not going to take other people's opinions seriously, which is actually a really bad thing. This is what contributes to poor decision making and poor logical reasoning in INTPs. So actually, what they need to do is, and this is basically with almost all of the functions, the pattern that's going to unfold is that you need to balance your first function with your fifth function, your second function with your sixth function, and so on. So when I'm talking about TI here, I'm talking about TI hero and TE nemesis. So you're going to want to balance the relationship between TI first function and TE fifth function, to be less arrogant and to have better results in relationships in the world. What I'm going to tell you to do as an INTP in order to alleviate some of this problem might seem a little counterintuitive, but it's actually to share your opinion more often. I know personally that if I'm sitting there quietly and listening to people and be like, oh man, these people are so dumb, like, that doesn't make sense. Man, how do these people even, figure out how to put their pants on in the morning? And obviously that's a little bit over the top, but, that's the line of thinking that happens inside of an INTP's brain as they're sitting there quietly and comfortably, and people just think they're like a house cat, like they're really nice. In their head, they're actually silently thinking that everyone around them is dumb. So actually, how you're going to get over that is you're going to say something. Okay, well, you don't want to come off too abrasive. I mean, if it's going to be, don't say anything at all and have this like bitter, arrogant judgment against people versus being abrasive, obviously be abrasive. But in my experience, the best way to like get your voice in is just ask questions. I'm gonna disagree with some people here, but I think Socrates is an INTP. Some people think he's an ENTP. Doesn't really matter. You want to use the Socratic method is what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, just ask questions. Like, that's how I get my opinion out there. If something doesn't make sense to me, especially with your TI hero, it should be pretty easy to poke a hole in their logical reasoning using a question. That's all it really takes. And some people don't actually, and this is a good thing, by the way, some people don't catch on right away that you're disagreeing with them. When you ask them a question, they'll kind of be like, what? Or they'll, I'm going to give an example here. So a few months ago, I was talking about investing with a couple of people at like a picnic, and there's some people talking about investing. I know a decent amount about investing, and I was picking up on what they were talking about. There was a lady and her husband. They were talking about basically different strategies, and they were talking about I don't remember the exact term for it. It was basically like pessimistic buying strategy, where like you buy when the price is dropping, which I'm not going to go into that. But anyways, I was explaining like me doing that, and I was like, so would me buying blah 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 during blah 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 be an example of this pessimistic buying strategy? And she's like, oh no, you don't want to get into that. It's all crap. Or she was, she just had this surface level like, oh, you don't want to like look at that industry because of blah blah blah. And I was like, they kept talking for a little bit, and I was like, okay, so let me give you an example of what I actually did. This is what I bought when the price was going down, and now it's gained, blah blah blah. and there's like, and then, and then you can kind of see it on their face. They're like, oh, yeah, this guy knows what he's saying. Like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and what I'm trying to bring up does have some relevance, and I kind of made you look stupid in the process, and that's pretty common. But you see, it's better to do it that way. It's better to ask questions and be kind of, INTPs aren't very direct anyway, so I don't know. I think that that's the best way to do it. So another reason why this is like a good idea is because you'll find out that you're actually not as smart as you thought when you do this. It's pretty interesting because if you're just gonna speak, if you're just gonna say something, um, when you're like, oh, that doesn't make sense, or like, oh, this is what they should be thinking or saying about this, you'll find that sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, like, actually, I know more than you. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then guess what? Once that happens enough times, um, that's where your TI first slot and your TE fifth slot is really going to start balancing out, because then you're like, oh, wait, people's opinions are actually valuable. I can't just figure everything out by myself, which is a great thing. Once you start getting that in your mind, then you're not going to be as arrogant, and you're going to come off better to people because you're willing to value their opinions and ask their opinions, and um, you're not just putting people into the stupid zone and ignoring them, stuff like that. Like, just ask for people's opinion. That's another big thing. If someone's bringing up something new, or maybe not something new, like, it doesn't really matter if you have that much interest in it. Just get in the habit of asking people questions, is what this is going to come down to, is ask questions, ask lots of questions. That's how you're going to learn, and that's how you make people like you too, because people love talking about what they are interested in. They love talking about themselves. So just get good at asking people questions. That's how you start to, because INTPs also tend to be bad at small talk. You want to know how to get good at small talk? Get good at asking people questions. Like, um, yeah, when I was younger, I'd have tons of trouble with small talk. Well, guess what? I still don't do small talk, but I do know how to talk to people off the bat, because I have interesting questions actually. Like, I go straight for the gullet a lot of the times. I'm just like, so how was your childhood, or something like equally socially stupid, but that's actually okay. Like, just be okay with being kind of socially weird. uh, I guess what I'm trying to say is just put yourself out there to an extent is what you need to do. But yeah, ask a lot of questions. But that's gonna start balancing out your extroverted thinking with your introverted thinking by doing that. Ask lots of questions, especially to FJs. Like, FJs are gonna come off as especially um, ignorant to you, like SFJs and like ENFJs, whatever. They're gonna come off as like they don't know what they're talking about, but that's mostly because um, you're not putting themselves, you're not putting them on an equal level to yourself. As soon as you start doing that, then, and looking at their opinion like it's actually valuable, first of all, it's going to make you less arrogant and less of kind of a POS and make them like you more, but also you're going to gain from it, because every single individual on this earth has something interesting and something valuable to say and something valuable to learn from them. So that's kind of just the attitude you guys have to have, I guess, to balance out TI hero arrogance. So I think that's pretty much, all I really need to say about that. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. If you guys have personally done this as you gotten older, or maybe you think I'm wrong, maybe you think that there's a better way to improve your thinking function. Yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys think. But yeah, just remember, have the general attitude of being interested in other people and what they have to say, and valuing their opinion is the main thing.